You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 29. On today's episode, we discuss This Week in Music and New Whip World Cup. So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to The After Show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, a chill discussion on this week in the SojuTalk Nation. We're recording on Wednesday, July 28th, 2021. I'm your host, Crispy, and joining me this week is Ara. Welcome, Ara.
Hi.
It's nice to have you. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
You know what? We're coming to the end of July, and I will say personally, I feel like I have had a good July. And I've made some progress with, just feeling better about myself, feeling happy about summer, and taking advantage of the fact that the days are longer and we have a lot more sunlight. So I think overall, just like positive, happy vibes. There is a piece of news that did drop today that we will be discussing later that has me in an extra good mood. So stay tuned for that at the very end of the show. Ara, I think you are responsible for this piece of news, by the way. So. All right, so let's move on now to announcements this week. Soju Sessions episode 17, a solo retrospective on Holo by Lehigh by myself. So it's just me kind of talking about the song, what it's meant to me, and the message that it has for Lehigh, and kind of looking back and what it means to be alone and drawing strength from loneliness and being alone. So if you like hearing me wax poetically for about 35 minutes, please check it out. I really was looking forward to doing that episode for quite some time as a 1-year anniversary to Lehigh's release. So it meant quite a lot to me to be able to do that. So check us out on the SojuTalk Nation podcast feed. It is up. All right. No birthdays this week, so let's just jump right into this week in SojuTalk music. We have 3 songs that the crew covered. We have EXO's Dio with Rose, Akmu with 2 songs, Hey Kid, Close Your Eyes with Isanhi, and Naka with IU. So we're going to go into more detail about Akmu and this collaboration album project, but let's get into EXO's Dio and Rose. I keep wanting to say The Rose, but I know it's just Rose. Ara, how did you like the song this week, and what did you think about the crew's discussion about this being a very campfire-y, folky, Jason Mraz type song from essentially a K-pop artist?
Honestly, I really thought that Dio was also like an R&B vibe guy, but I really enjoyed this song. Like, I'm not like much of like folk type songs, I'd say. But I really enjoyed listening to it, especially because his vocals are just so soothing. And I think like the intro, like when you know how like in the music video he's riding the bicycle and going down that slope, like right there, I really liked that part of the music video.
Yeah, let's talk about the music video a little bit, because the crew did a nice job really encapsulating a lot of the feelings about the music production, Dio's voice, and his range, right? Because I think I too feel similarly that that I would have expected an R&B song, but this is very mellow, easy listening to, guitar guy music. But the music video itself, I think, captured a really nice story using kind of this imagery of imagination through painting and like navigating the world on a bike. What did you think about like the overall story, or at least what did that story kind of mean to you as like he was kind of navigating the world? Like chaos and absurdity was happening around him, but he was like very much focused on an emotion, right? Himself, right? I guess like how did that hit you, and what did you take from the music video?
I think it was like kind of different because usually like whenever I go out, I don't really focus on myself. I'm more focused on the people and things around me. Um, but that like just gave me a different perspective that like I should probably try to focus on myself too because like so the headphones were like kind of like a symbol as that like he doesn't know what's going on around him and he's just focusing on himself. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like it's very introspective, where he's thinking a lot about his feelings and emotions, but in a very happy, whimsical way, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lyrics that kind of encapsulated the song for me, and like the themes is, the only flower I know is a rose with courage, carrying
Mm-hmm.
an armful of flowers. I'm coming to you. I can't express my feelings. So it is a love song. It's very much this idea of the symbol of a rose, but that being the only idea of love or a flower to Dio, right? But then, like anyone else who's kind of learning about love, it's like you can't really express with words. You can't really express in clear ways, so you have to kind of use actions, right? And I think this music
Mm-hmm.
video did a nice job of showing, how someone learns about love with introspective thought and really just like digging deep into like who they are as a person. So I think it really plays into like a lot of the things that you said about thinking about yourself, but also reflecting on how all of those things work and process. And for you
Mm-hmm.
particularly, because everyone is different, and kind of like forgetting that the rest of the world is chaotic around you.
Yeah.
So they did talk about some of the inspirations to this song. Did you listen to
Mm-hmm.
Jason Mraz or Bruno Mars back in the 2000s, 2010s?
No.
Ooh, yeah. So like this is very much like indicative of like the guitar guy music, right? Some other
Mm-hmm.
artists I wrote down were like John Mayer and Jack Johnson. They were all very popular in the 2000s, 2010s with this similar style. But I did want to ask you just about the crew and um, the album as a whole. So I didn't get a chance to listen to the album, but Warren was just saying how um, he didn't really expect this sound from him. Did you get a chance to listen to
Yeah.
the album, the whole thing?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah. So what are
um
your takes on the album, and how do you feel like that aligned with what Warren said?
um so he did write like all the lyrics for the album himself and I think like it's very reflective on his personality, how like the lyrics are. Um there's also a Spanish song on the album. Um and that's really nice. I personally am not like I don't I'm not familiar with Spanish, but like how it sounds really good. And then there's like the English version of Rose, which is also nice. There's also this other song called Dad, and that one is also really, really good. Um, Honestly, like Rose as a song, I think the beginning, I was reminded of That's Okay, like I think it's just like a single from Dio from like maybe 2 years ago, I think. And it just really reminded me of that song. I don't know if you've heard that song, but
I haven't, but if it sounds anything similar to this, I feel like it's something definitely to look out for, and something that
hmm
he clearly has an aptitude for. Because I think,
hmm
I mean, like we've kind of said this a couple of times already, but like our expectation was like R&B, but he pulled this off so well that I feel like
yeah.
this is the kind of music that could definitely be in his discography as a soloist.
hmm
And kind of like Doug said, like a lot of the soloists in EXO, have been these dancers or these like performance heavy, or Dio is very, toned down and very chill and very
Yeah.
happy vibes. And I think this fits
hmm
the summer mood, the summer theme of, riding your bike in the open space and kind of daydreaming. So yeah, it's a very pleasant song. Any closing
hmm
thoughts on Dio and Rose?
No, I really enjoyed it. I think it's like a very nice, good vibes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely just a chill, good vibes song for a chill, good vibes playlist. And I think there was a number of songs like that this year,
hmm
that really helped to balance out the different moods that we're getting throughout the year. All right. So let's move on to the big release this week. Not to say that Dio isn't, but this one is a double release. This one is a maybe not long awaited, but is a very surprising project essentially with Akmu. So Akmu released Next Episode, which is a collaboration album where the brother and sister, the artistic duo, collaborated with a number of artists on every single song on the album. The two songs that were released first was Hey Kid, Close Your Eyes, not featuring, with Lee Sun-hee. And the second one was Akmu with Naka with IU. All right, so there's a lot to unpack with this album. Let me have you start it. Which one stood out to you most, and which one which one resonated with you most between the two songs?
Say like I can't really pick because I find like some of the B-sides more resonating compared to the title tracks, but if I had to pick, I think it would probably be the one with IU.
Nice. I think Anita also liked that one better. Naka. And the crew had a lot to say about both songs and how like the story of the music videos kind of blended together. What stood out to you most about that song, and was there anything that the crew mentioned that you connected with?
So when they dropped the title, like the titles, I didn't know who Lee Sun-hee was, so I searched her up. So I wasn't really familiar with her music. So when I heard this song, I was like, oh, she's really good. I think because I didn't really know her, like I didn't really appreciate her as much as I could have if I did know her other music. Yeah, but then I do know some of IU's music, so that's why I think Naka just resonated with me more.
Yeah. It was kind of nice that Warren went into kind of the meaning of it.
Yeah.
I could have definitely looked it up. I forgot to. So then when Warren said it, I was like, oh, thank you, Warren, for that piece of education.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know like a lot. I just did a small search.
Yeah.
And then when he went a little bit deeper, I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So just for reference, on the show, Warren mentioned that Naka translates to fall, but to fall down like a considerable distance, right? Like going very far down something. And I really appreciated that they made a point on the show to talk about the music construction and how the chorus has that type of progression where it starts up and then it goes down, down, down. And I just thought it was very what's the word? I very much like understood exactly what Warren was saying when he said that, just because, you know, we familiarize ourselves with the song over the past few days, and even though I like some songs better, I would still say all the songs are very memorable, and I can imagine kind of that visual of what Warren was saying and also like the progression of the song and all of that kind of in my head. But I could also just be a crazy person, just like, you know, putting all these things together. But yeah, and well, let's stick to this song a little bit. So what did you think about kind of the analysis on IU's part, where the crew was saying how like both parts are sung really well between IU and Soohyun, but it did feel like there wasn't too clear of a distinction between their voices when they came in. So in some ways they blended together too much, and in some ways what Warren was saying, like, oh, Soohyun could have just sang all of those parts.
Yeah,
do you agree or disagree with kind of Warren's take on that?
Yeah, I think because this one was, or most of the songs are with the artist, not like featuring the artist, you can't really tell the difference. Like there's not a lot of distinction between both artists. Yeah, maybe like they decided that they wanted to blend both of them together instead of have both of them distinct, which I would understand, but we don't really know, so I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting that with this song in particular, it was a little bit more nebulous to kind of hear IU's parts. But I will say, like, after having listened to it, like, a lot of times, like maybe over 20, 30 times, I was starting to, and also consider that I'm listening to it on like really nice headphones or earpieces, right? So I'm like really trying to pay attention to the voices and everything. I will say it's very clean and polished, to the point where I think it's this may be like a little bit too like too much of a fanboy here, but I think it might have been done too well, where it's like you can't really tell the difference anymore because their voices are so sweet and like amazing. I'm really just being super biased because I love both of these acts, between Akmu and everything they've done and IU. So forgive me, but I think that's where I kind of stand with it. After having listened to it so much, it's like I can hear IU, but I also can understand where if you're not really paying attention, or if you're not listening to it as intently as you or I, that it kind of all blends in together. With regards to the music video, was there anything interesting about kind of the story of like falling between the different levels and the different like images throughout the video?
So, to be honest, I have not watched the music video yet. I haven't watched the music video for, I think both of them came out, right? So I haven't watched the one with Sam Kim either. All three of them, I haven't watched them yet.
That's okay. So the music video itself was very, it's very fast paced. I think it very much matched the song. There was just a lot of different scenes that were playing off of the other music video. And I think it just goes to a grander story, right? And we can kind of talk about that when we get into the other song. But so before we move on to the other song that they released, was there anything else that stood out to you for Naka, as far as like musically, and kind of what you thought about the cruise conversation?
Yeah, I think like once I watch the music video, I'll have more thoughts. But right now, I think they covered most of it.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think the crew did a really nice job of going into the finer details about the music itself. Because I am not an expert in music. I do not produce music like Warren, like the musical trap genius of Jetlag. So I very much appreciate when he goes into detail about how music is made. And also like Doug and Anita definitely having a lot of input there as well.
Yeah.
So let's move on now to the song that was released on Friday for them, Hey Kid, Close Your Eyes, with Isunhee. So just musically, how did this song first hit you when you listened to it?
I thought it was very different. Like, I haven't really heard a lot of Akmu or Sunhee, right? Sunhee?
Isunhee, yeah.
Yes. So I was very surprised because the first exposure that I had to Akmu was Alien, and this sounded like completely like a different vibe. So yeah, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Alien was like a very different sound for them. Well, at least for her, for Sojan, because it was very poppy. And I appreciated that they shouted out that song because I think it's like one of the more underrated songs of last year. She is adorable in the music video. She's adorable on stage.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah, and just vocally, you can see that she can kind of do everything, right? Where she can do like a very serious ballad, or she can kind of do a melancholy song like this one, or she could do something very contemporary pop with Alien. And she does it all so beautifully. With regards to this song, with Hey Kid, Close Your Eyes, this is very much a melancholy, darker song with some social commentary. They mentioned a lot of that on the main show. And a lot of the imagery in the music video is very evocative of using art as an expression for whatever systems of power that are in place in government, right? I think in the United States, we are a little bit more separated from that, or at least in the West, between United States and I'm not familiar with Canada. Maybe it happened recently. Maybe you guys had a revolt or an uprising. I don't know. You tell me, Aura. I'm gonna take that as
sorry.
no. I'm gonna take that as a no. Canada has not had a revolt or uprising.
Yeah, not like we have like local protests, but like not like whole country.
Yeah. With the messaging for this music video, it's very similar to what we know of in the 80s and 90s, with a lot of tension in a number of countries in Asia, whether it's East Asia, Southeast Asia, and kind of government control, and really finding that balance of being a democratic state and giving your citizens agency. But because of the history of war, the history of different countries invading, colonizing, and different conflict, you come to a place where you have these images of war, right? The music video itself has this really interesting message of children, of kids, right? And they are engaged in whatever war situation, scenery it is. And kind of the messaging I got from it was a child's life is like a battlefield with kind of the expectations and competition and conflict growing up, whether that's expectations from the adults and pressures from whatever circumstance you're in, or conflict with your peers, and really being pushed into like different situations where you're forced to grow or forced to compete against each other. So I just thought all of those themes were really prominent in the music video itself, and it paired really well with the sound of the song, right? Before I even went to see the lyrics and the translation, I definitely got all these very artistic vibes, right?
Yeah. After you talked about like protest, all I could think about was like American Idiot and Green Day.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's the only thing that popped up in my head.
No, and I think Green Day is a really nice modern example of that, right? Where it's very like Western pop, but I mean, a lot of those images are very universal, right? At different points in history. I think a lot of countries and a lot of people have experienced something like that at some point. And it's all cyclical, right? If it's not the pandemic, we may be in a different kind of conflict at some point that would have that type of messaging. Going back to the show, and what the main show was talking about, was there anything musically that stood out to you? I know they did talk about like the 80s themes with the synths, kind of the hippie feel of it. Did any of that stand out to you?
I don't really listen to a lot of 80s music, but I think I knew like it would be like this because Lee Sun-hee is known from like she was known back in the day, right? So I was expecting it, but I really liked how like they complemented each other. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's like you can really hear it, right? You can really listen to like, her vocal quality and vocal prowess. I wasn't familiar with her either, but I really appreciated the history lesson that they gave on the show, how she is essentially one of the most influential musicians in the country over the past 3 decades, right? Where for us, it's like IU. Well, for people who grew up in the 80s, it's her. It's Issa, Sun-hee. Yeah. Sometimes it's just hard to pronounce things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the crew going into a lot of detail about that, and I think it really ties in together with this theme of kind of being an homage to a lot of different styles of music, and then like Warren said, it's another style or genre to add to your portfolio, to diversify to Akmu's sound, right? So going off of that, the entire album, I personally love it. It's a much more mellow album. You really do kind of have to be in a certain mindset for it. But I think there are some amazing gems of artistic expression. Which one was your favorite and why?
I think my favorite is probably the one with Benzino. I just really liked the vibe of it. It's definitely like a good song. Actually, like I think so after I listened to the album, I decided that I was gonna listen to it more, but then I didn't really get time yesterday. So I added the ones with Crush, Sam Kim, and Benzino onto my playlist, but I still haven't had a chance to like listen to them properly. But from like the first 2 or 3 times that I did listen, I really liked them.
Yeah, the Benzino song is tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. There is a playfulness to that song that's so infectious, and I'm just like I just love it so much. It's just I mean the kind of the literal use of that phrase within like the composition of the chorus. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is a vibe. I'm feeling this. And I think it really goes to the strength of the album as a whole for me, in that they were really able to tap into a lot of variety in sounds and styles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that song in particular is one where it's like, ooh, this one's kind of different. Ooh, this one's kind of nice. Like I kind of like it. To go on with the clothes analogy, so Warren was saying how like you put on a shirt that doesn't fit. The Benzino one is like you look at a shirt and you say, oh, that's not my style, and you put it on and it's like it fits perfectly, and you're like, oh, this is a brand new fit. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on that one, using a shirt analogy. Thank you, Warren. For me, my favorite song is the last one on the album, Everest, with I have to pause myself and always say with, but it's a with Sam Kim. And that song is just, there's just something so calming, and so
Kim always gives like calm vibes.
Yeah,
the songs are all so good.
Yeah, and this idea of like traversing like a mountain, right, and climbing to the tops of something, and kind of looking forward and looking up. I think lyrically, it's again another like Akmu chef's kiss on like the lyrical expression of a song like this, but then just like everything coming together, and like you said, Sam Kim, man, it's just if I'm looking at it as a whole album, that's kind of an amazingly perfect song to end it on, because you're kind of left not like wanting more, but also like satisfied that like you're whisked away into like this like mountainous like imagery with like head in the clouds kind of thing. So yeah, I'm done talking, waxing poetic. I'm just like, oh man, this whole album just got me feeling a kind of way. But yeah, well, so the whole album, I think you and I both love it. But I will give you the final words on it. Was there any last takeaways, any last things you wanted to talk about regarding the album, or what the crew had mentioned with how Akmu released this project?
I think it was a really good collab. Like the artists that they did collab with were very all of them have like distinct styles, so I really liked listening to the collab. It was just very enjoyable.
And I think it does a nice job of introducing fans of Akmu to all of these artists, right? I think
that's true as well.
I would say Lee Sun-hee and her being on this collaboration project is very much like here's a piece of history that everyone should know, and now I know it, and I'm like so grateful for it, right? So I think that's like another like really strong like messaging and like point for like why this album exists the way it does. So yeah, big shout out to Akmu. I think we only spoke glowingly of this album. So if you want some more like critical analysis and thoughts, Warren's got a lot of that on the main show, but we love the way that Warren also talks about it, because it does get us thinking in that direction. All right.
Also, they'll release their like other music videos in the coming week or next week.
Yeah. So every song on the album will get a music video. I think there's going to be a story that connects them all, but we will just have to wait and see, because I'm excited to see artistically the direction that they go into with all of that. So
yes.
All right, let's move on now to the Soju chart this week. 3 songs, three chart topping songs on the Soju chart. So we have at number 3 we have Dio with Rose, Akmu with Hey Kid Close Your Eyes, and number 1 and new Spice Queen, the well-deserved, the lovely, the one that has my heart, Taeyeon.
Right now.
With Weekend. I don't want to talk about it, all right? We're just gonna let that slide, But what did you think?
We're just gonna ignore that part.
We're just gonna ignore the part that I tend to fall in love with K-pop girls quite often. So yeah. But Taeyeon this week is number 1. She is the queen. She enters the Hall of Spice with a number of amazing other artists. What did you think about this list this week and how the crew arrived at it?
Actually pretty surprised that Dio made the cut because I know they were expecting R&B, but I didn't know if they actually liked the song or not. So I was happily surprised. I was expecting Akmu because it's IU. It was a good song. So yeah, and I didn't expect Taeyeon just because I thought like other than you and Dell, like I didn't know like a lot of people listening to it on repeat, so that's fun.
Dell and I may be the loudest people that talk about Taeyeon, but I do feel like on a spiritual level that we are a great representation for the general audience's feelings for that song.
No, I love Taeyeon. Like I love looking at her photos and everything.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, I actually did expect Akmu to take number 1 this week, so I was a bit surprised that Taeyeon was going to win. Akmu had 2 songs, 2 excellent songs, so I was
exactly.
Yeah, so I was a bit surprised that both of them didn't make it. But one
Maybe
of them
next
did.
week.
And I do like Hey Kid, Close Your Eyes quite a bit, so really just happy to see that up there. I think Dio's Rose, I think it's a nice shift actually, because and Kuala and I talked about this last week, that since the beginning of May, we've had kind of this like summer disco or like edgy like set of music, right? I think those are the 2 like very distinct styles over the summer. And then we said well, it's gonna be August soon, but does that mean like we're gonna get into like moody, angsty summer where it's like the sunset comes a little sooner, so now like you're thinking a little bit more about the end of the season, and it kind of feels like we're getting that shift. We get 2 Akmu songs.
Do you?
And then we get
Dio. I
Dio.
feel new teasers, the new like upcoming teasers for like the girl groups definitely don't feel like that. They feel like they're upbeat pop summer songs.
All right, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just being a prisoner of the moment, and I'm just like, oh, this is how I feel today.
No, I love angst and I love sad boy stuff, but like based on the teasers, that's what I'm feeling. Like we'll slowly get out of it like end of August, but at least now I think we're still like in the summer.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think I'm just looking for any excuse to wanting to be in my feelings. So this week was that for me. But yeah, I think a really eclectic mix of songs this week, even though like not too many new releases. Really, 3 new releases, but 1 from the same group. But still, I think it's a really nice representative list of how things are shifting and changing week to week. Well, thanks to the crew for keeping up with the Soju chart this week. It was really nice to keep Taeyeon on there for an extra week last week to get her into the Hall of Spice. And looking forward to a lot of the new summer songs, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of shakeups next week. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, that does it for this week in SojuTalk Music. If you have any thoughts, opinions, or feelings, we are available on Discord. So, just continue the conversation on over there. I know music, the SojuTalk Talk channel, frequently has updates to how people think and feel and change about the week in music. So, check us out. Say hello. All right. There's a couple of things. So let's talk about State of the Nation a little bit. they talked about a lot of things in State Nation. I didn't make
Yeah, they
too
did.
many notes about it because I kind of wanted to speak to how it like just emotionally hit me in that moment. Because I was kind of just like
Mm-hmm.
doing things and I was like on a walk and I was just like letting it play. And
Mm-hmm.
I will say my main takeaway is that I really appreciate how candid Doug, Warren, and Anita are about just the things that are going on in their life. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a skill that is developed over time. Some people are far more equipped to wanting to do it. But even then, like, I don't think we give like a full picture of our lives all the time. And I do feel like
Mm-hmm.
this conversation in particular, with Doug talking about his career path, right, and what he does, what he did with his education, getting a master's degree, but then deciding that he wanted to just be part of the family business, which is amazing. It's very valiant, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
it was really nice of him to open up that way.
Yeah,
Or what
exactly.
did you think about like those types of conversations and Doug being really candid about that trajectory in his life?
I think it just like it helps us connect more with them just because usually like we're on Discord, right? We can talk to them, but for people who are not, like it can help them relate in a way that like yes, they do the podcast, but like they also have their personal life and you know, they also struggle. Um so I think it's a nice way for them to give us an insight on their life and like their day-to-day things.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where we forget. Well, I mean, the royal we. I'm making a generalization, but like people when people like see content and then they engage with it or interact with it, they do so like through text, through like a message written
Yeah,
somewhere, right?
exactly.
And I think it goes a long way to attach kind of those words and emotions to an actual human being. And seeing
Hmm.
Doug be very open and expressive about it, I think is really helpful. And I think it will go a long way for at least different connections to be formed, whether that's directly with the crew or indirectly, and all of us kind of getting along in a different way. Not necessarily better or worse, but I'm just saying, like, kind of opening up different avenues of connectivity between people.
Hmm.
And then with Warren, he talks about, being happy with himself. And I think that's a big step for someone, who is in their mid 20s. Because I still think, between the ages of 20 and 30, there's a lot of insecurity in learning about the world. And it does feel
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Warren is turning that page, right? Did you connect with the idea of Warren either feeling that he's way older than people 10 years younger than him, or that he's way younger than people 10 years older than him?
Yeah, I do. I feel this on a daily basis.
Do you have
Yeah,
that?
I think,
Go ahead.
no, yeah, you can go.
Do you have that same feeling when you kind of enter a professional space or a workspace where you look up and you're surrounded by like 40-year-olds with families and you're like, I'm not old, I'm not young, but I'm also not old, but I'm also not
Yeah.
young. So I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, the thing is, right now, like the current job I work at, it's mostly like students my age. My supervisor is like from my class. So I mostly interact with people my age, but then my actual boss comes in sometimes and like I just can't relate to him because his mentality is like completely different than ours, right? So sometimes I feel like that, but most of the times because I talk to people my age, it doesn't really happen. And then when it does, I just get shocked.
Yeah, it's that really weird like coming of age period in a lot of people's lives, right? Where it's like
Hmm.
we're definitely not kids anymore, but we're also like just not close enough to like the adult, right?
Yeah, I don't feel like an adult, even though I'm like 21.
Yeah, and it's it's a learning curve for everyone, but I do appreciate that Warren brought that up because just speaking from reading a lot of the conversation in the SojuTalk Talk channel, a lot of people connected with it, in a lot of different ways, regardless of age, right? You know, we have a couple members of the nation who are teenagers, and then some older senior citizens like myself who felt a certain kind of way with Warren's little discussion, but all connecting to it in a different way, but also kind of very encouraging to see that kind of conversation. Because I think oftentimes like people get kind of lost in their head about certain things, and they don't recognize that a lot of other people feel the same way. And I think it's a way to support each other directly and indirectly, you know. So shout out to the crew for doing that. Are any closing thoughts on how the crew, you know, I don't even know how to put this, therapized themselves this week?
No, it was good. I definitely connected with them more. So that was good.
Yeah, same. And also shout out to Anita. She brings up like her family here and there, and you know, I think it's big for her to talk about her family because
yes,
I mean, everyone takes life at their own pace, and I think it's really nice of her to do that. Was it this week that her sister came into the show, or was it last week? Do you remember? I think it was.
Doug mentioned that like Anita doesn't have a brother this week.
I think like a door opened and like we heard another voice, and then.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think that was this week. I think that was last week.
Okay. God, what is time? Yeah. Time is a construct. but yeah, yeah. Shout out to Anita, and you know, being open about like different things about life, and you know, letting us in when she does. I think it's really nice too. All right, we've pined over the crew enough. I think we might as well just be sipping the crew at this point. But let's move on now to Best New Whip for Doug World Cup. All right. You know, this wasn't as spicy as it could have been. I think ultimately it was very functional in all the choices they made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of them that stood out to you that you were just like, that's weird, dude? Warren.
Yeah. Can I just say that like sorry, just a sec. Let me just check because I don't want to like. The Batmobile, like why? Why did they not pick the Batmobile? Or sorry, the Dark Knight tumbler.
I'm trying to find it on this thing. Oh yeah, so the British three-wheeler. Again, like it goes like this major theme of this game this week. They chose all functionality cars as opposed to the coolest shit ever. It's just like, like damn, you know what you can do with that? You could like, you know, climb up buildings and like shoot bad guys.
But I definitely agree with the Vespa. Like I would take a Vespa over and like a human powered car any day.
Yeah, that one. I mean, the human powered car kind of loses against everything because everything is electric or gas powered. So it's like, I want to exert the least amount of effort possible. When but
Vespas are like pretty convenient and like there's not a lot of space required to park it, stuff like that, you know, like compared to like a regular car.
Yeah, I think there was a period where Vespas were super popular.
Yeah, they still are. They're so popular in East Asian countries. Like,
oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know hipsters were all about them at some point in San Francisco.
Yeah, we don't really see them here in Canada because weather, but like East Asia, like Vespas are like super cool.
Very hip, very trendy. I just need to point this out one time, and then we can move on. A leather whip. Like, I get it. I get the joke. I wish there were more of them because now it just feels awkward. It's just like you want to whip something, and the only thing in my head, maybe I'm just a pervert, but the only thing in my head are certain images that require a whip. Um, Thankfully, I was also reminded that Indiana Jones is a very popular character, and then my brain went there instead. So thank you, Doug and Warren. Um, I hope next time they do a couple more like clowny choices, because that was the only
I
one.
see ones. Yeah.
Yeah, like that one's like okay. The Weebmobile, they should have just gone for it. You know what he was referencing, right? I don't think you do. Actually,
No, I don't.
think about it. So Warren said H. H is the first letter to a word. We can say it here. He meant hentai.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He meant the hentai mobile because I've seen him before. Not like in public, but like anime conventions. Yeah, like definitely a point of celebration. And I think some of those decals are like removable, right? Or it's like you can have them temporarily and then switch them out.
Oh,
So-
I searched it up on Google. Yeah. I didn't know because I was like, yeah.
You know now. You know now. Lauren, if you ever want to come on the show and talk about some other things that, Soju Talk After Dark, you let me know and I can, we can figure out a show for that. So yeah, we'll do that maybe. Just a thought. Any other choices that stood out to you? I think these are all like very strange but also functional cars that were all picked this week.
Yeah. I definitely pick a horse carriage over a clown car any day. Any day.
Yeah, that one.
Clowns just like creep me out. I'm sorry, but like I'm not scared of them, but they're so freaking creepy.
No, that's understandable. I think a clown car also is a double loser because it's, we're just getting out of a pandemic and you have to be shoved in a car with like 30 people. I don't want to be that close to somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like anymore. That's like, no.
Me either.
I just can't. Yeah. What else did we have? The hot dog car making it to the end.
Yeah, I would never pick the hot dog car, just saying.
Again, like, it's very functional. It's very cool. But what are you going to do with it? You get nowhere to park it. They ended up on Pikachu, which is essentially a VW Beetle. Yeah.
I like the Pikachu one. Like, I definitely pick it over that hot dog one.
Yeah. I mean, it's they literally just landed on a normal car is what this ultimately comes down to. It's like I kind of wanted like crazier matchups, but Warren, we appreciate that you got these 20 cars and you put them together, but just and maybe take a shot of soju before you start the next round next time.
Yes, please.
Encouraging alcoholism is what we do here. So
yes,
yeah.
Come join the server, and we recently got a new channel, which is Soju Bar. So come join and participate in the Soju Bar channel.
That is an excellent plug. Yes, please join the Soju Bar, everyone. All right. Well, that closes it out for this week's World Cup. A very great selection of vehicles, but I think ultimately we needed a little bit more spice. But it's okay, Warren.
Yeah.
We'll
probably get it next week.
Yeah, we'll get something wild next week, I'm sure. All right, let's close it out this week with our weekly check-in, our closing thoughts. Ara, what have you been up to? How's life?
Life is... don't even know what to say. But Stray Kids come back at the end of August. I'm so pumped. I know I don't sound like I'm pumped, but I am very, very, very pumped and excited. I've already spent a shit ton of money on their pre-order albums. Yeah, and also I would really, really recommend going and watching the trailer because it is very Deadpool-like, very, very funny. They're basically each other. You'll have a great time. Go watch.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I haven't seen the teaser. So maybe I should, because like the way that you put it was being funny and kind of like the lighter side of Stray Kids. All right, I can get down with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty cool with that.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, watch it. It's very funny.
well, like, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about. I'm gonna brush over these two things fairly quickly because I do want to get to the third thing. So Olympics. Thank you, Doug, for recapping the Olympics, because as much as I am a fan of the Olympics, it is still very difficult for me to think about finding all of that information, news, highlights, winners, all that stuff. So, bless. Thank you. Because,
Yeah.
like much appreciation. Yeah, because it does help me at least like direct my attention to like which countries are like popping off and stuff. The NBA draft will be Thursday, July 29th. So by the time this comes out and you listen to it, either it's going to start or it's already over. And we know exactly how it all turned out. A lot of excitement. I know there's a lot of NBA fans on the server. Without getting into too much of the weeds of the NBA and how it works, the NBA draft is a time of the year where you could select the top prospects who are not professionals. So either they are college students, or they've played internationally, or they played at lower levels. And the worst teams get the best chance to pick, or the worst teams get to choose first. So it's an inverse selection. But this year is the deepest talent pool of players that we've had in the past 10 years. And there's been a lot of buzz heading into tomorrow's draft. So a lot of fun and excitement. So if you're a basketball fan, we will be popping off on the server at around 4:30 or 5 tomorrow. So yeah, PST. And lastly, the thing I alluded to earlier, Aura. Thank you, Aura, for posting this and tagging me in this piece of information. 88 Rising is going to have Head in the Clouds in Los Angeles at the Rose Bowl, November 6th and 7th. I believe those are the dates.
And 7th.
Yes.
Yes.
I looked up the tickets. Right now it's 2-day general admission for $250. Seems like a music festival. I remember those days. I will be spending that money. I will be there. And I will give you a SojuTalk recap of going back to do one of these amazing social events, because my God, the lineup is out of control. Aura, I can't speak. Can you tell everyone some of the standouts for this lineup?
Yes. So some of the standouts: CL, Jay from J6 is there. Audrey Nuna is also there. Nikki. Who else do we have? Siori. Is that how you say her name? I think.
Yep.
Let me see.
Binu. Let's
yes.
Binu. Binu, there. How?
Okay, actually, like all the feel good music is there. So like Tiger JK, Yoon Mire, Busy, and BB, all of them are there.
Breakfast.
Cammy.
How's she gonna be there? Cammy's in LA. I'm gonna force him to go. I don't know how.
Yes.
And then I'm also gonna buy him alcohol.
The main ones.
Yeah.
DPR.
Both of the boys are gonna be there. Ian and Live. God, imagine.
Also, Lil Terry is gonna be there. So enjoy the mukbang rap.
It's gonna be out of control. I cannot right now. My brain.
There's also 2 or 3 artists that have not been announced, and we are speculating that Chungha will be one of them.
If it's Chungha, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna
you're losing your mind.
So much alcohol. Maybe not that much.
I really want to go. I'm so jelly that you get to go, but I really hope you guys go and enjoy and send pictures and everything.
Yeah, I could not process. I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a lot of relatives in Los Angeles and Southern California. A lot of cousins in my age group, all of which are now like out of college and like working. I sent the link to the post in our group chat. I think we're probably just gonna all go. So
Oh, really? Yay.
Yeah, I mean it's far enough in advance where it's like just take the freaking days off if you have work. It's like I'm gonna do that. It's like
Wait, it's not a weekend? I thought it was a weekend.
oh, so also my cousins are nurses, so they work all the time.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
Okay.
they gotta
Yeah,
plan
yeah,
that
it's
stuff.
a weekend, but like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can still like plan ahead.
yeah. So it's just one of those where it's like I'm not missing this. Please go. Otherwise, I will just go by myself, and I will
Yes,
just
if you guys
cry.
do go, comment down below on the YouTube or comment on the Discord and let us know so you guys can connect.
Yeah, if you guys are around and like really interested about like this show, there are a number of channels on the server that we will be talking about this in the coming months. I'm sure either the K-pop
Yes,
channel, K-hip hop channel, or K concerts and merch. I think those are the three main ones that
yes.
you could expect a lot of conversation. Uh,
Especially because CL is dropping her album soon, and Crispy will probably get to see it, and I'm gonna lose my mind. So
that's
yes,
going to be
look forward
out
to it.
of control. I just can't right now. My brain.
Not processing. Yep, same.
Anyways, Aura, you are the guest this week. You get the last word. Any closing thoughts about life? Any things you
Um,
want to ponder into the universe as we head on out of here this week?
Honestly, no thoughts right now.
And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just, we just
Yeah.
go with the flow and let things,
Mm-hmm.
happen. God, my brain is still broken from the 8A Rising Head in the Clouds
Mm-hmm.
festival. So, all right, let me compose myself and get out of here. Oh man. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Soju Talk Nation podcast episode 29. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord. This has been the SojuTalk Nation for Aura. This is Crispy. Bye.